Quiet on set. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Let's Poddy podcast with your host, Benji Weatherly. It's the podcast where you learn absolutely nothing.
Looking for a new way to elevate your look? Let's Poddy's newest sponsor, Ponto Footwear, makes the perfect addition to your wardrobe. Their Pacific Dress sneaker is responsibly made with recycled materials. And with its water-resistant and slip-resistant design, you'll be ready for anything. Use our code PODDY15 for 15% off on your order at pontofootwear.com. Anyway, let me just start by saying I'm so grateful to have the Mayor of Encinitas, my favorite city in the world, other than the one I grew up in, Hawaii. Do you know what Encinitas actually means?
Little Oak?
Exactly. See? That's the first question I wanted the mayor to answer, because it's such a... nobody knows what Encinitas... Everyone thinks it's the name of a surfboard. You know? Little Oak. Love it. This is the mayor. He knows. I'm really, really excited to have you on the podcast, because every person in the world wants to live in Encinitas. I mean, it's the fastest growing city in America. It really, you would know the numbers, but it seems like it.
Yep.
Because I bought a house here in 2002 when I was 23, and I sold it a few years ago because I'm an idiot, and moved back to Hawaii, back now because of businesses, and I'm starting a restaurant in your city, and just an incredible place to raise kids, incredible place to ride bikes. I mean, it's turned into the bike capital of California. It has to be, right? And you probably deal, and you've been a councilman for how long?
I've been serving on the council since 2012, so coming up on 11 years.
Wow, cool.
10 and a half years.
How does that someone get into something like that?
There's a certain amount of insanity that's associated with running for public office, but for me, it was about trying to make my city a better place, and some of the decisions that were being made I disagreed with, so I decided that one way to address that would be to give it a go and run for council myself. I was on the ballot in 2010 and came in third place, but there were only 2 seats, so I ran again in 2012 and was successful. Campaigned with Lisa Schaefer, and the council of 2013 that I was a part of was a big change for the city, and we started focusing on issues related to mobility, biking and walking, making our city a little safer for those activities. We focused on the environment quite a bit, and I think we've made a lot of progress in the last 10 years.
Amazing things. I was gone for 5 years, coming and going, but just all the work you guys have done on PCH it's insane. And for somebody that rides a bike as much as I do, it's definitely gotten to a point. There was, in Leucadia, it was terrifying when I was young. And now it's, probably one of the best places to bike in the world now. And that's,
I appreciate hearing that.
Hats off to you guys.
Thank you.
And the world, Encinitas just keeps getting better when it's already the best. It's the Pleasantville of surfing. Yeah. It's like you can get a smoothie, do Pilates, go surf with your friends, and your kids are at school a block away, and everything is just right there at your fingertips. Obviously, the amount of money it takes to live there now is hard, but that comes with the territory when you live in a beautiful place, right?
Yep, right on the coast.
Right on the coast. And I grew up in Hawaii, and that's the same thing. We're kind of, the locals are getting pushed away, but that's part of progression in life, and that's just part of it. But an incredible thing. I'm going to give you a pair of shoes of our sponsor just to get that out of the way. You're not allowed to get gifts, but you have a plan to do something with it.
Yes, I will take these beautiful shoes and donate them to the CRC thrift store.
There you go.
And I appreciate the work that
someone's going to be stoked to get them, from the mayor. That's pretty awesome.
CRC is going to get a donation, and somebody's going to get a beautiful brand new pair of shoes.
I love that. That's the coolest thing I've ever gifted and been re-gifted all right in the same thing. So that's good. So what is a day in the life of a mayor of a city as beautiful as Encinitas detail?
Well, it's interesting, because in a city the size of Encinitas, our council serves essentially part-time. It is my full-time job is in the printing business. I manage printing projects, and I happen to have a very generous boss who lets me spend a lot of time dealing with city business as well. So I'll have 2 or 3 meetings a day that are related to the city, and we'll have meetings tonight starting at 4:00, and generally once a week. We have meetings every the second, third, and fourth Wednesday of the month, and so.
Is that in your city hall, or where
Yeah,
do
we
you
have
guys
that
do?
at City Hall in the council chambers there, and every once in a while we'll have our meetings at the community center or workshops outside of City Hall. But for the most part, the work is being done at City Hall.
It's I would say it again, the schedule, and just in case.
It's the second Wednesday and third Wednesday and fourth Wednesday of every month.
Okay, so 3 times a month.
3 times a month generally. We do take the summer off, so there's some meetings that get canceled. The city's website at encinitasca.gov has a calendar on it, so you can keep in touch with not only city council meetings, but there's planning commission meetings, environmental commission meetings, parks and rec commission meetings, senior commission. You know, we've got a number of volunteer committees that people are serving on.
Wow. And what you said, you had kids when we walked in. How many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids that are all have made it to adulthood.
Yeah.
And
Did you guys grow up in Encinitas forever, or where?
yeah, my wife and I are both from Encinitas, longtime locals.
Wow.
All 3 of our kids were born in Alaska, though.
Wow.
After my wife and I got married, we moved up to Alaska. I was in the Alaska Army National Guard. Our 3 kids were born up there. My oldest is 37. My middle boy is 35, and then my daughter is 33.
They still in the area, or did they take off?
My oldest is up in Oakland. He works for Fitbit. He's a programmer.
Okay.
And my middle boy is kicking around town here, yes. And my daughter lives in a house that her and her husband own in Oceanside. So they just gave birth to twins.
Oh, congrats.
And
That's the first grandpa
I
moment?
actually know that basically doubled my grandkids. I had 2, and this was 2 more. They have a daughter that is coming up on 5, and so now 2 new daughters. And her husband's a arborist, so they're named after trees. One is juniper and the other one is maple.
That's beautiful. Those are great names.
Yep.
Well, that's cool. And how long, that was a question that we are all moving around, coming up with things to talk about. When you get the mayor's seat, is it 4 years like most?
In Encinitas, it's 2-year term.
Oh, it's 2 years. And then when you're a city councilman, is that 4?
4.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. And what's the plan when you got into office? What was your first deal of business that you kind of wanted to address?
You know, I think that the number one issue in the last couple of years has been homelessness. So we're focusing again on homelessness issues. Housing is constantly a challenge. We have a community that's pretty chaotic already, and the notion of building big apartment buildings is not very popular, but we're finding ourselves needing to comply with state law, and we also need to have a solid, diverse housing stock. So that's what we're currently doing, and we'll continue to focus on both of those issues a lot in the next couple of years. You know, I'm enjoying it so far, but we'll give it a little time before I make any decision about what to do next. I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to serve for these 2 years.
That's awesome. Yeah, just the fact that my friend that owns Beer Garden, Dave, instantly the other day he found out I'm doing my restaurant right down the street. I'm doing it by the freeway, more on Santa Fe. Really bad homeless situation because our building's been vacant for 2 years. And yesterday we got graffiti put on all the roof, and the windows got broken out a few months ago. And the sheriff that's why I love this town. The sheriff came up when I was doing, a little clean work of all the demolition from the people that were before me. And the sheriff walked in. And I'm like, hey, nice. And his name's Ken. He's from Florida. I mean, I'm sure you know all these guys, but Ken, he came in a surfer. He has big, bulletproof jacket on and stuff. I'm like, what's going on? Nice to meet you. And he's like, my favorite place was this place in Florida, and this is what it looked like. And I go, this is exactly what my place from Hawaii looks like. So he was all excited, but he had pictures of the guys the homeless guys that have been violating, and there was a stabbing over there and stuff. And my friend Taylor Steele, that's from that area his whole life, it's like, yeah, the only problem about that little spot is there's really bad homeless and stuff. but it's more or less you put something great there, things will always work out, you know, and like I believe in that wholeheartedly. We're going to make like a Hawaiian plantation, palm trees, a grass area, and families are going to be coming and going from the skate park and hospital, and we have San Diego High, and then next door is doing a veterinarian right now. Their windows got broken out as well. But as soon as we get it all going, the homeless thing will definitely change. Because the other day I told a guy, he tried to fight me. And I told him, I go, hey, man, if you want, I'll pay you to help us work. And he laughed so fast. I mean, he took off. I've never seen someone move so fast. I go, hey, if you want, I'll pay you $5 an hour. He's like, whew. You know, so it's just more or less like the city is so great. The little things that like you're going to be working on with the homeless situation, we can do. We can. It's not too overwhelming. And, you know, they're still human beings too. And they've had a rough go of it, but we'll fix it. Yeah.
And that deputy that you were talking to is leader of our Hope team, which is focused on the homeless problem.
Yeah, he was really involved, he said.
And so, you know, stay connected with him. That is an area that we've been focusing on because of some of the challenges with the homeless that they tend to threaten some of the folks that are shopping at the Vons there, and it has become a problem, but we are shifting the resources to get the deputies out there to make sure that we address that. So.
We actually had a problem with we've got a giant dumpster, and we took too long to fill it up. You know, we didn't realize what was going to happen. The whole community's been putting flat screens, this, that. I mean, it filled up so fast, it's like $1,200 to empty. We're like, oh, my God. So I called the police. It's so stupid. This is how naive I am. And instantly had a response, which I love. The Encinitas Police Department so far has been unreal. And Ken wasn't working that day, so another officer came right out. Right when he gets there, I'm like, I don't really have anything to show him. And he goes, he didn't even get out of his car. He goes, hey, do you have any pictures of the suspects? I'm like, no. He said, do you have a license plate? No. Do you have this? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, you got to have something, man. And I go, I'm so stupid. I go, I'm just so upset. I was like, these guys just filled up our dumpster. And then obviously the graffiti and stuff. But more or less, I was just like, I got to think smarter than them. You know, as soon as I needed the dumpster, I need to call that day. You know, I need to be more on it. So I'm learning as I go, but yeah, it's been funny. The police are on it. So, and Ken has pictures of everybody. You know, he's on it. And it made me feel good when I was in the middle of the cleaning my restaurant. I was like, well, at least the sheriff's already here telling me it's going to be okay. Yep.
And, you know, getting a business back going there is going to be a big part of it because the homeless definitely have a tendency to hang out where there's no activities. So the more activity you create, the better off it's going to be. I look forward to that becoming another vibrant restaurant in our city. It needs it
in that area. I mean, the reason I'm moving into that zone is because in Hawaii, we're a community hub in the middle of a place that didn't have the kind of food we had with really great Hawaiian breakfast that we're going to have there. Coffees. We're going to start at 5:36 in the morning for the hospital because the hospital has 1,800 employees, 24 hours a day. And then the kids, I'm going to have their lunch, electric bike, stalls.
You better have that. Yeah.
And then we have the skate park back there. I'm going to have a filmer out there filming them to come watch with their families of some of maybe the home run that won the game. We're going to be like the Bad News Bears, Bills Bondman.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, I really want it to be the pizza parlor that it used to be, but a little Hawaii twist to it. And then they have the veterinarian. So they're 24 hours too. So being 24 hours as a veterinarian, I think it'll keep the riffraff away. Because if its lights are on 24 hours a day, ain't going to be hanging around.
Are you going to be putting pineapple on pizza?
Oh yeah, we got a blue Hawaiian. It's called, and it's got pineapples. It's insane. Why do you not like pineapples?
You know, it's a big controversy whether pineapple is appropriate for pizza.
You know what? Lily was just here, Miola, she's from Maui, and we were in Costa Rica last week, and she goes, you want to order our own pizza? And she goes, I want pineapple pepperoni. That's my favorite. I told her, I go, that's my favorite. Everyone else is like, what? Yeah, we're gonna have pineapples and stuff, but I'm going to put banana trees out there. We're going to have palm trees everywhere. We want it to look like Hawaii. And my neighbor, she's a papaya, they call it. I don't know if you know that business. They're from Rancho Santa Fe, and they take care of animals, and they're amazing. And her renderings have all these palm trees, too. And I'm like, let's go all out with the palm trees. Because when you're on the freeway and you go by, I want it to look like a oasis.
Yeah.
You know, because that parking lot is the best parking in San Diego.
Nice.
You know, if you're coming in hot off the freeway and you want coffee, you can pull right up in it and get it and go. So, yeah, I feel like that's my spot. So that's why I went so hard in the paint. But there is a lot of undertaking. I still got to build it and everything, but it's exciting. And Encinitas is the most undeniable place in the world. Everyone comes here. Everyone wants to be here. And we're just lucky for me and you to have a job here.
Yes.
You know?
Blessed, no question.
And what happens after the mayor? Are you going to can you get reelected?
Yes.
How many terms can you do?
There's no limit currently.
Oh,
so,
that's cool.
It's one of those things when the voters get tired of me, they'll throw me out if I don't step down myself. So
if you don't screw up.
yes, exactly. That's kind of how it works. And,
That's cool.
it's hard work. There's a lot of challenges. We have.
Have you enjoyed it?
I have enjoyed it. Yes, there's, no question that sometimes it's not fun, but
A lot of nagging, probably.
yep. But the enjoyment is in seeing things get done and
That is exciting.
leaving a legacy that I think is going to be appreciated in the generations to come. So
Yeah, I think you're the perfect amount of politician that you'd really want, because it's supposed to be about the community you live in. I mean, that's what politics are supposed to be. And obviously the swamp, the big politicians in Washington, D.C., they're not thinking of the districts that they're from anymore. It's gone. But for you, I mean, you get to go down to your community and see it happening and being a part of it. Even those council meetings are probably annoying a lot of times. I was there trying to get my liquor license, and the guy next to me was complaining about people parking near his house. And I was just like, you know what? That's part of being a human being. Like, you're not going to change that. But there are things that you can change that really are meaningful, especially the bikes. I mean, it was so dangerous to ride a bike in that neighborhood where I used to own a house, and now little 7-year-old kids on their electric bike are safe, and that's a really good thing you can take with you for the rest of your life.
Well, I'm fortunate because I have lived in Encinitas since 1960, so I've seen it grow up.
That's awesome.
And graduated from San Diego High School in '77. Attended Palomar for a couple of years, played football out there. Went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. So I've had a really good California experience. Yeah. It's great to be able to give back and try and keep our community great. And, there's no question that challenges related to growth are real. But if we stay focused and continue to advocate for some changes that I think are going to make our community better, we will be successful.
That's awesome. Yeah, you never agree with politicians, but that's why my friend Dave was like, you got to meet Tony. We got to have a beer with him and just sit down and talk. And when he said that, I'm like, wait, is our mayor cool? And he's like, he's super cool. And when I texted you about doing the podcast and you said yes, I'm like, is he a mayor or a normal cool guy? Like, this is awesome. And he comes in with surfing surf hat. Yep. Do you get in the water and mess around with that? Is that part of your deal?
I don't get in the water as much as I'd like to. I surfed as a kid, but have not been on a board in a very, very long time.
That was the 60s. Did you go out at Moonlight and all the spots?
Moonlight, that's where I had my first surf session. My mom bought me a Sunset surfboard when I was a kid, and so she took me out in the middle of October, and the ocean was rough, but I was having my first opportunity to surf on my own surfboard. Spent a couple of years surfing pretty heavily, but got into working full time for my dad, and so didn't have a whole lot of time to surf anymore. But Surfy and JP St. Pierre, he's a great guy, one of our capitalists that really makes a big difference in Encinitas. He's been pretty focused on keeping our community great. He's a lifelong Encinitas guy. His dad is Peter St. Pierre. I think they refer to him as Pinstripe Peter. He used to do a lot of surfboards for Sunset and others. He'd Moonlight Glassing. So
Moonlight Glassing, of course.
Overall, they've just been a big part of the surf industry. And JP has been a great friend and never hesitates to give me his advice on what we should or shouldn't be doing. And I enjoy that.
That's really cool.
It's a great opportunity to have dialogue with people that have been here a long time.
Yeah, and the surf community is so strong here, and the surf community I grew up in on the North Shore of Oahu is intense. It's really, really intense. I could bring up names and stuff, but here it's like encouraging for people to begin. It's encouraging for your girlfriend going longboarding with you, and it's more of a community surf session rather than in the North Shore. You go out and just try not to die.
Well, we're lucky we still have Don Hansen lives in town. Half the time, at least. The other
he's in Montana, right?
Exactly.
I know the Hansons really well.
Yeah, and Ed Wright lives down the street. And, he's he and Nora.
Encinitas surfboard guy. What's his name?
John Keys.
He's
and Adams.
Big name in the Encinitas circle. Everyone has to have their Encinitas surfboard sweaters.
I have my hoodie. I didn't wear it today, but
the little girls, you see them now, and you're like, it's gone through generations. Like my girlfriend had one on the other day, and I'm just like, everyone still wears the Encinitas surf sweater. So it's nice to see the culture still thriving. And I want to know how you beat Rob Machado as the mayor. Like, isn't he the mayor? I always thought he was the mayor.
Fortunately, he didn't put his name on the ballot, so
Oh my God.
he only gets all the votes at the Reef and Cardiff Beach and such.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy to have in our community.
Right.
He's done some great work charity wise, and it's really been an amazing journey that he's been on. I've enjoyed learning the history. He comes from a great family.
Yeah,
Justin Machado is a baseball coach out at La Costa Canyon. His Ed is great volleyball player,
And Jim, his dad,
Yep,
legend.
yep.
Yeah, and that's where the restaurant. I'm like, where the first place I stayed when I came from Hawaii was at the Machados.
Oh.
They had the Shaper Sergeant in the back, and yeah, the Machado family is. I mean, eventually, yeah, you're going to be fighting him for the. No, he would never be mayor. He's too lazy. But this thing right here, actually, have you heard of the Salento Surf Festival they do down there in Encinitas?
I have not.
This is third year going. They're doing this year, and they do it at La Paloma, and it's Taylor Steele's event, and he does all the surf films. Because you remember in Europe, this is a question that you can answer. What year did the surf films start going through there big time? 70s, 80s?
Yeah, that was the 70s.
And did you watch Ticket to Ride and all those cool movies in
Endless
there?
Summer.
Endless Summer. Was that at La Paloma?
Yep.
So he's he's bringing it back. He had Slater and all of us doing this festival. And at the very end of the festival, it's usually Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then on Sunday, Slater and Machado and all the big pro surfers surf with the community, a guy from the community, and they do a tag team at Seaside. So it's a really cool thing. And they're actually working on trying to figure out different ways to involve the community more. And it's all charity and stuff. And that's one event. And you guys have so many cool community ones. That one street fair I know is always gone on. Is that spring? I think you guys always do that.
Yep. And then we've got the Switchfoot crew that has the
yeah.
Bro-Am every
That was
summer.
awesome.
They've over $1 million worth of contributions to charity and charitable organizations. So it's really been one of those things that makes a guy proud. These are the Foremans are from Encinitas, graduate from San Diego as well, and
Humble and down to earth for the level.
They've been giving back for years.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I knew they must have raised a lot of money by now, but millions, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, and to the surf community to give that much back. I did a little kid contest called Little Humans Contest, and it was the community just came. Everyone helped. I saw one of the kids that won one of the first cars, and it had a sticker on it. It was a Navy, not Navy, but the Camp Pendleton sticker was on this kid's car, and I got him a Chevy Nova, and he won it. And for a whole year, he got to go on the base to surf because of the sticker that I didn't even know was important. And I saw him the other day, and he's like, dude, do you remember that? He's like, I'm the one that won. My name's Charlie, and this and that. And he goes, that was the coolest thing ever. And that was the tiniest little thing I have ever done for the community. And I've only done it for Encinitas. And it's because everyone there just is like a family. And it's the only place in California I feel that. Like from Hawaii, we're all a huge family. But in Encinitas, you will see people giving back, which is so rare in this state.
It's what makes this city great.
Yeah. And it's cool that the mayor of my favorite city is willing to, come down and do my podcast, even though you don't even know who's been on it. It's been like Perry Farrell, Mike D from the Beastie Boys. I'm more of a music podcast, but I do, action sports. I'm Taylor Knox. I've done all the big names in surf and skateboard and snowboarding, but it's what I want is my podcast is supposed to be about absolutely nothing. That's it. When you get to watch the podcast, the opening is Donovan Frankenreiter making fun of the fact that it's just about nothing, and that's what makes it great. Is it doesn't have to be politically driven, and that's what makes you being on here so great. Is everybody is so hard on politics right now, like the whole thought of it. It feels like we're getting robbed, and the cool part is that's not the case in small towns. And I've never got to meet a mayor of a small town except Vail. I'm really good friends with Burton family, and I got to meet the mayor of Vail, and what a cool dude. Like, he's the one that made me realize, like, all these politicians aren't what you think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them just want to take care of the place they live. And I think that's what a politician's supposed to be. It's supposed to be about the town you live in. After that, it's not really about what it's supposed to be. So it's cool for you.
And the voters of Encinitas, they have a way of keeping people in check. It's not, they're not going to tolerate somebody whose head gets too big. It's
right.
be a man about town and do the work that's necessary to keep our city great. And they may not agree with everything that you do, but for the most part, they'll respect you and treat you with some dignity. There's no question that politics over the last 4 or 5 years has become pretty nasty, and it's never been a really easy business, but it's really taken a much more significant turn for what I think is the worst. We've got issues with anti-social media where you get trashed like nobody's business. It's crazy sometimes, some of the stuff that's being said about you. Anonymous blog posts are just disgusting, and I've had to tune most of it out, but it comes with the territory. You got to do the job, and so I try and let it roll off my back and keep focused on doing the work that needs to be done.
Yeah, you could get in trouble without doing anything wrong.
Exactly.
You're in a situation that's so scary. I mean, it's one of those things nowadays. You could do nothing wrong, and the more you try to say you didn't do it, the worse you look. Yeah. So I guess turning it off is the best thing you can do.
Yep.
But so far, in our conversation, I know your heart's in the right place, and that's all that matters. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to do it, the cool part is after 2 years, if you're like, nah, take it or leave it.
Right.
But if it sounds like you're going to be there for quite a while, I'm going to be in there voting next time for sure.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to take it 1 year at a time and see how it goes, and there will be a point at which, having a fresh set of eyes in the mayor's seat is going to be important, but hopefully I'll be able to choose that time myself, and instead of having the voters throw me out. So,
what does your wife think of it?
My wife's a longtime Encinitas resident as well, and she's grown accustomed to some of the challenges of being an elected official, but she's very supportive. She's probably my number one advisor. I talk to her about a lot of things and get her feedback, and she's a down-to-earth woman who has worked hard all her life and has strong faith and belief in God, and has been pretty focused on supporting my desire to run for elected office, and so I'm really very blessed in that way.
Does she come to most of the city council meetings and stuff? Is she involved at all, or
nope, she doesn't come. She's decided that watching occasionally now that I'm mayor is something that she'll do, and she'll give me some feedback when I get home. So, but for the most part, she's just kind of there to listen and give me some feedback occasionally. Her dad was Wally Blodgett. He was an old crusty old guy, surfer guy. Glass blower. We still have a glass blowing factory in our yard on Hygeia, and so
I love Hygeia.
Yeah, yep. We're in the house my wife grew up in, and her mom invited us back home, and we remodeled, built a granny flat, took care of her till her end days, and now we are blessed with grandkids around the house. So we've got a multi-generational thing going on in our house, and intergenerational wealth is something that I've been fortunate enough to take advantage of, and it's not anything that I'll ever take for granted. How fortunate I am to live here.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. That's a great story. And so what's the, when you did city council, is it a progression, or do some people come in and just go for being a mayor, or is it part of the process?
Generally speaking, people start as city council. The city of Encinitas went to an elected mayor for the first time in 2014. Everybody that has served as mayor previously served as a council member. Is it impossible to just start as running for mayor? It's not impossible, but you need to really have a lot of connections. You'd want to be a Rotarian. You'd want to be in some sort of community group that gave you the sort of name recognition that's necessary. I know there are some who are angry about decisions that we make, and they say, I'm going to run for mayor. And so, I appreciate their desire to want to make change, but it's not a very good formula for getting involved in elected politics.
Just like anything, you got to work to get there.
Yep, pretty much.
That's cool. And does it ever go from mayor and you still want to stay there, but you kind of could you go back to city council if you want?
You could, but it'd be a little unusual. I've never seen that happen. No, I take that back. The mayor currently of National City, Ron Morrison, he was unelected as mayor, and then he ran for the council, and now he's back as mayor. So It is possible. I think that for me, one trip around the sun is probably enough, and that's what I consider this opportunity to serve as mayor to be. And there'll be a time when I'm ready to step aside and let the younger folks take over.
There's no such thing as retirement ever. Just so you know, so it's a death sentence.
I have plenty of things to do. I'm never going to be retired.
You got glass blowing stuff in the backyard.
Yes, I got a bunch of photography stuff that I have a ton of analog slides and negatives that I want to get scanned up and digitize, and I'm a paper maker and book artist, and have the equipment to get back involved in that. I have been, all of my free time has been dedicated to politics for the last decade, and for the foreseeable future it will be as well. So, but once I'm done with politics, I'll have plenty of things to do.
What is your day-to-day thinking about the big politics, like the stuff that we were talking about? Do you follow it, or is it something that you can't really get too involved in because it'll drive you crazy like most of the world? Or
yeah, I have a tendency to doom scroll on Twitter and keep in touch with what's going on, both at the national and state level. The things that happen in those political arenas are really important to a city, because for big road projects like we're doing on our streetscape on the 101, we can't do that on our own. We need resources from the federal and state government. And so, for example, Representative Levin has brought a $4 million allocation for our stormwater system on the streetscape. And we had another 4 from the state for our undercrossing at El Portal. So we're constantly working to get the grant opportunities, the grant funding from state and federal government.
do you have friends up and down the coast, like up in LA, mayors or governor, or are you friends with the governor at all?
No, I don't. I've never met the governor. I know the previous mayor, Catherine Bikespear, got to meet him because he was letting us know how important it was that we complied with state law on the housing element. So sometimes you get the attention of the governor
if you need something
for negative reasons too. So we happen to have a couple of former council members who are serving in the state. Tasha Berner Horvath is in the assembly. Former Mayor Blakespear is now in the Senate. So we're pretty well connected up in Sacramento. But there's always, more doors to knock on and hands to shake and people to talk to about things that we need to do.
Do you ever have to go up to Sacramento and I'm just to kind of like do attendance or anything? Is there
No, there's no requirement, but there are opportunities to go up there and lobby and have one-on-one conversations with our representatives up there. So that'll come up occasionally. The pandemic turned it into kind of a Zoom world. So more of the meetings are held virtually. It saves a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. Yeah, so that's something that we'll be doing. But in the meantime, there's no question that keeping your issues in front of them is important.
What's the next? When did you start being as mayor? When was the starting date?
I was sworn into office in December, first week in December, and I'll serve for 2 years. I'll be, if I decide to run for re-election, that would be on the ballot in 2024.
2024. Don't forget that. You guys, we're all going for Tony on this next one. Unless you don't want to. unless you want out. But what is the last name Kranz? Is that
Kranz is German.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
I thought it was German.
My dad was full-blooded German. My mom, her last name was Giesen, and she's kind of a mutt, a lot of different, so makes me pretty much a mutt as well.
Is it short for a longer name, Kranz?
I don't know. I think that my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, his records show he was a Kranz, so it's possible it was shortened when he came over here, but I don't think so.
Have you ever gone back to the homeland?
No, but I do know that there's a city in South Dakota called Kranzburg, and I've been told that anybody who spells their last name like I do can trace their roots to that South Dakota city.
Whoa.
I don't know how true that is. I haven't done
You got to at least go check it out, right?
Legacy.com stuff yet, but I've been through there a couple of times.
Oh, you've already gone?
Yeah.
South Dakota's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that where our monument is?
Yeah, that's where the Mount Rushmore is.
So you guys came from Germany, went up there and built a bunch of presidents' faces, and you guys it's
That's right.
You guys did it.
Yeah.
Well, that's so cool, man. I love hearing your story, and it's nice because I'm a people person, and I can tell you're a good person, and that makes me even happier to be an Encinitas resident.
Yep.
And I've been forever, and Yeah, I think going forward, I'm going to check out some of these meetings and stuff. Obviously, starting a business there, so it's the first Wednesday, and then I'm going to look it up on what was the website again?
It's encinitasca.gov. It's the second, third, and fourth Wednesday of every month. Occasionally, we counsel for certain things, so be sure to check the website for the meeting schedule. But Beach also want to know, keep me in the loop on your ribbon cutting for your restaurant so that
July
I can get
1st, or I have to pay a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be it. We're going to have a big ribbon thing. We're going to have Iration played, Lily Miola that you just met, and really just try to do like trivia nights. And I want it to be a place like when you're at the baseball field, your family's like, why don't we go over to Breakers and we can all sit on the patio, because we're going to have 2 big patio settings, and
nice.
And it's right in the middle of so much community. So, and we're away from PCH, which is a good and bad thing. I would love to be on PCH, but it's such an undertaking, and it's just to get a beer and wine down there would probably be impossible. And where I'm at, I just feel that people on the freeway are going to just be like, why wouldn't we just stop and get a little bite to eat? Or I'm going to have a lot of takeaway stuff too, so deli counters. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And the good thing is the passion's there because of the community. That's why I wanted to meet you. And it's such a cool place that we can actually have events at. Like, I really want to have movie premieres there, like have Rob Machado come. And I want it to be what it was in Hawaii, and I love Encinitas. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And definitely going to have the mayor there for my opening.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thanks so much for taking the time.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. And just go check out Tony on all his things that he's doing for the city of Encinitas and the city of Little Oak.
Yes.
Right. The fact he passed the test right when I asked him that question, I'm like, he's not going to know that. Who knows that? And he knew it. It's so cool. I do stand up every once in a while, and that was one of my jokes, and everyone didn't laugh because they didn't realize Little Oak is the name of Encinitas, and I don't know, it's my favorite city, and appreciate you stopping by, and I hope the people that get those new shoes from Ponto enjoy it because hopefully they'll know the mayor gave it to them. Yeah. Which is pretty much the coolest thing ever.
Very good.
And, I mean, we do have a good community that does give back, and we'll take care of the homeless. I mean, we will.
Yep.
When I say we, I'm you. Pleasure to meet you, Tony.
Good to meet you.
Next time we hang out, it won't be so serious. We'll get more laughs out of it.
That's good.
I just don't want to get canceled.
No, I understand.
I'm looking out for you, too. And I love that you brought the Surfy Surf hat.
Yep.
Pleasure to meet you, bud.
Good to meet you.
Okay. Thank you guys for watching.